Hello everyone and welcome. I am Dr. Floyd Richmond, and today I'd like to show you a production project that you'll be working on this semester. Specifically, we're going to be singing this very well-known hymn, Praise God from whom all blessings flow, known as the Doxology, in 4 different parts in production software. And what we're going to be doing is to sing the soprano part in track 1, alto part in track 2, tenor part in track 3, bass part in track 4. We're going to adjust the volume of each of these tracks so that they are balanced carefully. And I think I'd like to just go ahead and play these tracks for you here.
Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures here below. Praise Him above, ye heavenly host. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Amen.
And you can hear that we also added some effects to those tracks as well. Let me just go ahead and show you a little bit about how that could be done. You will go to the track menu and create the new tracks that you'll need, and you'll tell it that you'd like a microphone. By the way, I'm using GarageBand on the Macintosh for this. You can do this with MixCraft on Windows or any pro level software also, such as ProTools or Logic. But the beginning or entry level software such as Audacity, which works on both Macintosh and Windows, would be fantastic. GarageBand, which comes on the Macintosh computers, would be fantastic. MixCraft, which comes on Windows computers, would be fantastic. So in any of those, you just go to the track menu, you tell it you'd like a new track, and you create that track. And it creates a place into which you can sing and play. I'm going to go ahead and close that particular window. You'll click on the track that you want to record. In this particular case, I have to open my window just a little bit here so I can see my record button. As I make the window smaller so I can see my music, the record button disappears. On most of these programs, there actually are menu options that you could choose to actually start the recording as well, although I'm not completely positive about that on GarageBand for the Macintosh. So you may have to have this open wide enough that you can see it. Okay, so let's say I was ready to record the soprano track from over here, and I had my headphones plugged in so I wouldn't be recording all the tracks into one another. I would just hit the record button. It'll give me a count off. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. And now I've just recorded myself into that track. I'm going to solo just this one track. Now, because I didn't have my headphones plugged in, I kept them out so that you could hear. It recorded me plus all the previous tracks as well.
Praise God from whom all blessings flow.
So, quick and easy. You just, in 4 passes, you've got the entire project done. When you have completed it, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and delete this particular measure. You can add some effects to your tracks. Let me just show you that on the Macintosh. If I could, to do this, I'm going to, on the GarageBand, just going to open this up a little bit. Let's click on a track that might need some effects, and then click on my controls right here. And here I've got some EQ, and I've also got some ambience and some reverb. I've turned the reverb up to about, well, halfway. I could go super crazy on reverb if I wanted to. In fact, you heard it previously with just a little bit of reverb. Let's hear it now with just go crazy reverb. By the way, reverb is something that's easily overused, and so it's quite possible that the go crazy level that I'm setting now is going to be sounding pretty weird. You might want to make these adjustments while you're actually playing the sound so that you can hear the effect as you go along. Alright, let's listen.
Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures here below.
Okay, I have to admit, it's not altogether too bad. So somewhere between here and here, would probably be a very nice level of reverb. It does, when I put that much reverb on it, it does very much sound like an ensemble of people rather than just me singing the part 4 times through. There are a few other effects that I should show you as well, and let me just double click on one of these tracks right here. So if you click on this track menu, you can actually, and you'll notice that I have already, turn pitch correction on a bit if it's needed. I wouldn't turn it on if it's not needed, if you have sung wonderfully in tune, but if you need a little pitch correction on your voice, experiment with it and see. If you're doing glissandos and other musical expressions that depend on pitch, then you probably do not want to turn on any pitch correction. I will also just indicate to you that some of the vocal parts, like for example the soprano part, are taxing my range quite a bit, and so because I tend to struggle with pitch when I'm in the upper extreme part of my range, then I tend to rely a little more heavily on some pitch correction in that part. You'll notice here in the tenor part that I just hit pitch correction almost all the way. Well, in fact, all the way. But on the bass part, just a little bit of pitch correction. Okay, the other thing I would like to show you is that this particular track has no rhythm adjustments to it. Do you see these little lines like this? Let's say one of these notes was early or late. I can actually click on this and drag that over. It stretches the gray ones and compresses the white ones, and now that note's going to come in at the right time. Let's say that I drag it to the right time, instead of whenever I sing it, before too early. I'm going to undo that because the truth is it was probably much better before I started dragging it around. In GarageBand, you can adjust the beginnings of each of the notes. If they came in late or early, you can put them right on the beat. There is also, I'm going to go ahead and click on this region area here, a time quantization. If you want to adjust them all, I'm just going to say round off everything to the nearest beat. Watch the bubbles on the right as I do this. You see that many of them were compressed and many of them were expanded to put them exactly on the beat. Now, the truth is, I don't mind singing a little bit off the beat if it's not all that noticeable. And with as much reverb as we have on this now, it probably won't be all that noticeable that it was a bit off the beat. If we had no reverb or really clean sound, then we might have to concern ourselves a bit more with that. I am going to go ahead and click on our controls again, and I'll just go ahead and show you that I've really got no EQ adjustments. They're all at that dead center right here. But if I felt I needed a little bit more lows in the soprano line, I could turn up or accentuate the low frequencies in that particular track. In fact, let me do that. I'm going to solo this track so you can hear the impact on just a single track.
Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures here below. Praise Him above.
Well, not an awful lot of impact of that particular EQ on this particular track. This control probably affects frequencies that are not in this recording. I'm certain though that one of these would, so let me try it again. I'm going to
Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures here.
And let's try the highs.
Below. Praise Him above, ye heavenly host. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Okay, the one thing that I noticed when I was pressing the highs was that the s and some of those sounds tended to be amplified a little bit. You don't necessarily have to do any EQ if the voice sounds natural. That's not a perfectly natural sounding voice, but then again, it is me singing. Sometimes you can make some improvements working on this, sometimes not so much. If you have notes that blurt out or that are too loud, or that are too soft, you can actually turn your compression up a little bit. And if you have if your voice sounds okay, it's pretty evenly balanced with the high notes and the low notes, then you really don't need much, if any, compression. Your compression can be turned on and off, as can your EQ on and off. And of course your reverb can be pulled all the way to 0 as well. So by experimenting with lots of these effects, you can get some very nice sounds. Let's listen to the whole thing one last time, and then, well, not the whole thing, but just a part of it one last time, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up.
Praise God from whom all blessings flow.
I don't know if you heard this, but a couple of things I noticed just in that very first phrase. And there's like a little click or tick or something about right here in the track. I think I might have, I'm not sure, but tapped the microphone or something like that. Listen and see if you can hear it.
Praise God from whom all...
Yeah, right after from, there's a little tick type of sound. Let's see what else we can hear by listening to this. Things that we might want to correct.
Praise God from whom all blessings flow.
That's actually pretty good. The only thing that I hear that's a little bit off is that on every single voice there's a slightly different attack on the first note. So it could be worthwhile to spend a little bit of time correcting the entrance of the first notes.
Praise God from whom all...
Okay, the other thing that I heard was something that I heard when we soloed this track over here. There is kind of a pitch slide into the very first note on the soprano line, and if I really wanted to make this a perfect performance, I'd probably record the first line of the soprano over as well. Well, you can continue to listen, you can re-record different sections. When you have finished, go to the Share menu, and let's export this song to a disk. I was hoping it might say something like send it to YouTube or something like that. But another possibility would be, if you have a SoundCloud account, you can actually send this song directly to SoundCloud. And once you have it there, you can share a link of that song on the forum in Moodle. If we're exporting this song to disk, the default will probably be an Apple AAC, just to make sure that this is easily uploadable in Moodle and also highly transportable. Let's go ahead and save it as an MP3. The other thing I should mention is that anything over 128 kilobits would be perfect for our purposes. That will create a smaller file. And let's just name this what it is. It'll be Floyd Richmond Doxology. And you'll be uploading this to the forum and sharing it with me, the teacher, and with your classmates as well. So hit the export button. It runs through bouncing that to disk, and when it's done, there's a file on my disk now in the folder that I just told it to save it, that I can upload directly to the forum. Alright, thank you very much. May God richly bless you, and hope you enjoy this project.